Hey everybody, it's Steve from the Cisco Security United States Public Sector team. Today I want to talk to you about Secure Network Analytics version 7.3.1, and I'm actually going to talk about 7.3.0 as well. I kind of loop them in the same presentation here. If you don't know what Secure Network Analytics is, don't worry. We just recently changed the name of almost all Cisco security products to this new Cisco Secure blank or blank blank or whatever the product may be. So for Stealthwatch, it is now Cisco Secure Network Analytics. It's probably going to take me a while to get this. I have a slide on it to show you kind of what we're doing. This is a U.S. public sector presentation. My background and my customer base is DoD, so I will be focusing heavily on DoD and public sector. So I will not tell you any of the new cool cloud features because a lot of my customers, the large majority of my customers, cannot use that. So I mentioned, Cisco Secure Network Analytics. It's going to take me a while. I've used Stealthwatch for 10 plus years, I think, at this point. So it's going to take me a while. So if I say Stealthwatch the rest of the presentation, you know why. But it is being rebranded as Cisco Secure Network Analytics. Even the components within it, for like the SMC, is now Secure Network Analytics Manager, Secure Network Analytics Flow Collector. So even the names, the components within Stealthwatch are changing. So you can pause and look at them if you want. It's not even in the UI yet, so you do have some time to adjust to the new naming scheme. And if you call it Stealthwatch, I will always probably call it that, so no worries. On to the updates. Again, a lot of great updates in the 7.3.0 and 7.3.1. A lot of customer needs have actually been met. So I'm very proud to tell you that the first one is response management has been moved to the web UI. This is one of the last checkboxes on moving everything to the web UI. This has been something that I've heard complaints about for years. Why do we have two managers? The Swing client executable and the web UI. I can tell you that 99% of all customers now can just use the web UI and that's it. There is no reason to go into the executable unless you really want to. New data store appliance. This is more of a dedicated call because we can go well into the weeds. I can spend an hour on this alone. This is really for people that are looking for increased capacity, scalability, faster query times. This is going to be a physical or virtual appliance or a cluster. So if you're really looking for increased capacity, scalability, there's not too many DoD customers that are. It's more the faster query times. When I was on the customer side, Big Army would come to me like 3-4 weeks after something has happened. It's like, hey, can you go back in time and look 3 or 4 weeks ago at this suspicious IP? And luckily I had a tool like Stealthwatch and I could actually do that. But sometimes the query times, depending on how much traffic that person did 3 to 4 weeks ago, could take 10, 20, 30 minutes. Luckily, I didn't have a huge network, so it wasn't too bad. If you had a bigger network than I did, it could take hours. So if you're really looking for faster query times, this would be something to look at. Again, if you want more details, there's someone Cisco.com, or you can just reach out to your account team and we can set something up and talk about it. System notifications and alarms. I can't believe this wasn't in the product before. It's something that I use this product for many years and I didn't know I needed it until I actually put it in the product. I'm like, where was this before? So in the upper right hand corner, you actually get notifications. When I upgraded, I actually had a notification that I didn't have enough memory on one of my appliances. Great to know. I didn't know that until I upgraded. So if things like that, your license out of compliance, things like that will actually be right in the SMC, or not even the SMC anymore, the SNAM, if you will, in the upper right hand corner for you to see right off the bat. AnyConnect NBM has been promoted to a primary telemetry source. What does this mean? Before AnyConnect NBM, which gives you endpoint lightweight net flow, it's not full net flow per se that you would get from a switch, but it's very close. That was used as a secondary telemetry source. It could stitch to an already existing flow record. Whereas now, we're saying we don't really need that restriction anymore. You can use AnyConnect NBM by itself. And the use case we're really looking to fulfill with this is a remote worker monitoring. With COVID times, this has become a huge issue. We need to monitor the remote worker even more now. Sometimes you don't have an existing flow record to go off of, so you can actually, when you're connected to the VPN, you could take the flow records right from that endpoint and do monitoring and analysis on. Next would be Cisco Talus has added their block list. Again, something that probably should have happened a year ago, but it's finally there. They're added their block list. And what does this mean operationally? 2+ more million IPs have been added to the Talos feed. So if you have that extra subscription for the feed, the slick feed that we used to call it, you have 2 million more IPs in that list. Earthspan has finally been added to the flow sensor. This has been something, again, I've been asked about multiple times over the years. We could do regular span. Why can't we do Earthspan? It's finally been added. TrustSec reporting. TrustSec is a huge part of the Cisco SDA strategy. It's what does a lot of the segmentation behind the scenes when you're doing DNA Center and Cisco SDA. Stealthwatch, again, Cisco Secure Network Analytics, is in a great position to help you not only define your policies, your TrustSec policies, but make sure they're actually working right, that you're seeing the segmentation that you want to see. So there's actually built-in reporting now that you can say, okay, this SGT talks to this SGT doesn't talk to this SGT, and it can kind of help you mold your policies and verify your policies. Security analytics and login integration for Cisco Secure Firewall. This, again, has been an integration that's been in the works for a while. You can actually send logs from your firewall to Stealthwatch. And basically what we're getting from that is some kind of, you can do analysis, and now you can actually store it for longer term than what the FMC could really give you. Depending on the size of your FMC, how many firewalls you had, your login settings, you could possibly get, just hours worth of log data. We probably would tell you need to probably change some stuff because that's not good. But in a typical setup, you're at best, you're probably looking at 30, 60 days, whereas Stealthwatch can give you many months worth of storage. And I saved the best for last because this has been an ask from customers for such a long time, is automatic quarantine. This is an anomaly-based tool. We kind of hesitate to do automatic quarantine, but if you see traffic, again, we added 2 million IPs to that block list. If you see a host inside, reach out to one of those known C2 servers. They pretty much need to be automatically quarantined anyway, whether it was just a mistake or it needs to be looked into. So they need to be quarantined immediately. So now you actually have that capability, and I will show you that in the demo I'm going to do. Caveats I call these tidbits, just things to look out for when you do the upgrade. So if you want to go to 7.3.1, again, that's what I recommend. I don't really recommend .0s for any production network. I only really recommend .1s once there's a patch or two out, and there is a patch or two out for the SMC now, or SNAM. So you must be on 7.2.1 or 7.3.0 to upgrade to 7.3.1. The good news is 7.x is listed on the APL. There was some POAM items open on 7.0 and 7.1 that were closed in 7.2. So to really be in compliance with the APL, you need to be on 7.2 or later. So 7.3.1 is a great landing spot to, to check off those POAMs that were open in 7.0 and 7.1. 7.2x and later are smart license only. So if you have a perpetual license, you will have to switch to term. If you have air gap network, you will have to do PLR. We do have that available. We do have a lot of federal customers, so they built that in right into the product right when they released 7.2. So that is great news. If you're on, again, NIPR, any unclassed network, you can probably switch to smart licensing, and there is a document that you can do that. But if you are air gapped, if this is on the high side, you will have to probably reach out to your Cisco account team so that we can help you get that PLR license so that you can run this on air gap networks. So as I mentioned, legacy perpetual license, you will have to move to a term license. If you're on the old legacy Dell hardware, I hope no one's still on that hardware, but there probably is one or two of you out there, you cannot upgrade because of hardware resource requirements. So you will have to switch to either the newer UCS-based hardware or a virtual appliance. Software upgrades, as you know, because you upgraded to 7.2.1 or 7.3.0 before you went up to 7.3.1, all the software updates are now on Cisco.com, which is great news. You don't have to go to FlexNet anymore. Check if you have a VM, check your VM requirements. As they have changed over the last few versions, we have increased the RAM really. I don't think the CPU's changed, but just make sure if you have virtual appliances, you given the minimum required RAM. We do have some new technologies that require a little more RAM. So just make sure you're doing that before you upgrade. It could cause issues later. With the system notifications, you'll probably get a big old thing saying you don't have enough RAM. But it's good to do it before you even upgrade. Check the appliance disk space. This is fuzzy math. I hate talking about math, especially late at night when I record these things. But you basically need four times the amount of free space on the appliances than what the SWU upgrade file is. So when you go to Cisco.com, you see those upgrade files. You need to make sure you have 4 times the amount of free space. If you just recently installed on 7.0.7.1, not a big deal. But if you've had multiple upgrades from like 6.9, 6.10, you may want to check your disk space just to make sure you have enough. The SMC, it's most important on the SMC, because the SMC you will upload, as you know from doing this for 7.2.1 and 7.3.0, you will upload all of these SWU upgrade files to the SMC. So you need to take the aggregate amount of those SWUs that you upload to the Stealthwatch management console and times it by 4 and make sure you have that much free space. Again, fuzzy math, sorry I had to do it, but just make sure that is one of the major issues when someone tries to upgrade and why it fails. You don't have enough free space on those appliances. Restart the SMC and the flow collector at least an hour before your ASI. Stealthwatch is not really a production inline kind of tool, so you may not need an ASI, but just make sure you have restarted this an hour before your scheduled upgrades. The Vertica database that we use kind of needs it. We won't let you upgrade really without it. So you need to be, within over an hour and less than a week to actually run this update, or it'll error out. Install any patches after the upgrade. This is just a good rule of thumb, but also there are some things like, for instance, that TrustSec matrix I told you about the previous slide, that was actually introduced in patch 2. So if you don't actually upgrade to the SMC patch 0.02, you will not get that feature. So we actually do include some features in the patches here. Follow the order as described on the central management page. There is an order in the guide as well, but key being is you need to follow that guide. There can be some tricky things that happen if you go out of order. And I will cut over to the demo now. Want to show you the guide real quick. Again, we always recommend to read the manual. Goes without saying. I covered all of the gotchas that I've seen and the little tidbits that I've seen over the years. But please do go through the manual. I don't tell you to do all the backups. If there's any issues that we've seen, like if you have to do any kind of certificate type of issues before you upgrade. So please read the manual. It is on Cisco.com. Just search for the upgrade 7.3.1 guide. Moving to the GUI. Again, if you're on 7.0 already, even the later 6 versions, this GUI will look very close to what you see already. You will see in the upper right hand corner, that's a system notification, system alarm bell that we have now. If you click on it here, you'll see that my UDP director is degraded. Great news, because I don't think I would have known that without this, to be honest with you. I don't think there's an alarm, except maybe if you actually logged into the UDP director directly to see that. So I'll click on the details. You can see the date, time, the duration, the device. The description is the main part, is the memory is too low. So I should turn this box off, this VM off, upgrade the memory, start it back up, and this alarm will go away. Another one of the key features, again, I saved it for last on the slide, but it is that response management that you can do now with ICE ANC policies, actually quarantine, lockdown, whatever the policy that you want to really configure. This is really up to you. I tell people, restrict it to just necessary traffic, but you still want, your IA team to be able to get to it, stuff like that. So it's really customizable up to your standards and policies. You start with an action, really. So in this list I have different amount of actions: Splunk, Graylog, email, CTR. I already have one here for quarantine. You can see the type is an ICE ANC policy. Description is restrict host access. If you go actually into it, you can see you chose your ICE cluster. You chose the ANC policies. Again, these are defined on the actual ICE box. So once you drop this down, you would see, I only have the quarantine apparently, but you would see the different policies that you can apply to this alarm. And I'm going to apply it to the source host because, again, the use case I'm really going for is an inside host going out to a C2 server, a known C2 server. And you tie that action to a rule. So you can see C2 server traffic. It's a host alarm. Source host talking to a known C2 server. If I edit this, you can see that you can do multiple rules. The only rule I have in this one is the type of alarm is command and control. And then you can see down here that I turned on the quarantine ICE ANC policy. I assigned it to this actual rule. So anytime I would see this and ICE can do a quarantine on it, it will be quarantined. So those are the 2 demos I had. I'm going to do further demos with 7.3.1 that are, standalone probably. But that's all I had for this quick demo. So thank you guys for watching. Please let me know if you have any comments. Reach out to your Cisco account team if you have any questions. And good luck.